This video has been funded in part by the Guild via Patreon. Check out the links in the description or at the end of this video for more details. Game provided by THQ Nordic and Handy Games. Hello everyone, my name is Chris Gildart and welcome back to another Pros vs. Cons mini review. I've been throwing a lot of Koei Tecmo stuff at you and I think it's time to bring something a little different to the table with Jagged Alliance Rage. I didn't know what to expect jumping into this game because I was very unaware of the history of the Jagged Alliance series. I thought it was just a one-off game, but Jagged Alliance started on the DOS back in 1995 and has had several sequels and ports leading up to Rage. It's a turn-based tactical strategy with action-adventure mechanics. Well, I like stuff like that one time Linkin Park and Jay-Z put out an album together, so mashups are kind of up my alley. I'm excited to jump in and see what the hell this game is exactly. Alright, ready, set, pros. One thing I really like about this game is its mechanics. It takes things here and there from other tactics-style games and meshes them together really well. Like, you have many different minor things that you need to take care of with your characters. They get thirsty, they may have shrapnel from gunfire that you need to remove, they could get diseases, or if they're alcoholic, you need to make sure they're drinking regularly. Most of this is managed between missions when you also get to upgrade your equipment, provided that you have the necessary tools to do so. You can also do these things during combat, however, it is recommended that you do it in between missions because it will cost you action points to do so. Each character gets a certain amount of action points to do various tasks during their turn. Running, sneaking, healing, shooting, and even looting costs action points, so you have to be very aware of how many you have left to use. Your weapons also cost different AP, so you may not be able to use that rifle after running into position, but you can still use your pistol. There's a lot to manage, but it never feels like too much either. This game has a really great way of making you feel like any failures are indeed your fault. There were a couple of missions where I was having a difficult time sneaking around and killing off enough guards to really survive. Every time I got caught and all the enemies would swarm me, I knew I did something wrong. It never really felt like the game was giving the AI X-ray vision or heightened senses. Luckily, if you are down in the hole, you can just restart the mission from the options menu. You're also able to choose which body part you want to shoot. You're given different accuracy percentages for the head, body, or legs. If you get a headshot, you have a high likelihood of killing them in one hit. If you shoot them in the legs, you have a potential of rendering them immobile, but the body usually has the highest percentage. Now, I say usually because the terrain also comes into play. If they're standing behind cover or in tall grass, their head might have a higher percent to hit than any other part of their body. This is really cool. I feel like the developers thought of everything while building these mechanics. You also have multiple characters to play with. When you start the game, you get to pick 2 out of the list. I picked Shadow as my first character because he's super sneaky, and I'm really glad I did because there are a lot of moments where he comes in handy. I also picked Ivan because he's a brute, and I needed somebody to balance Shadow's weaknesses. Literally everything you do plays into the strategy of this game. Cons! Alright, let me start off with the main thing that drove me nuts about this game. The camera. Don't ask me how they f***ed up the camera in a tactics game, but they did. I can't seem to get the grasp of these controls. Like, when you press up on the right stick, you'd think you'd zoom into the map. But it's the opposite. You zoom out of the map. And that just messes with my perspective. Also, you don't control the reticle on a grid-based style like Fire Emblem or other tactics games. You control it like a mouse cursor. This feels really weird on console, and even made me do the wrong thing from time to time, because there's a bit of a delay from when your reticle gets to the square and when you have actually selected the square. The graphics aren't anything to shake a stick at either. They're pretty bland and outdated for modern consoles and PCs. I mean, it may get the job done, but I was honestly hoping for a little bit more detail. I feel like sometimes the textures look a little smudged, like someone was hand drawing them and accidentally covered it with the palm of their hand. Man, I hate it when that happens. On top of the graphics looking a little bland, the menus also give off this budget title vibe. Every menu has the same JPEG image in the background with the same stock text in the menus. I wish they would spice things up a little bit, give us a little bit of a different image. Like, have the main menu be different from the options menu, and then have a different image for the loading screens. I honestly wouldn't mind if every loading screen was the same, but just make it different from what we see everywhere else. Everything here feels severely low budget, and I don't know if it's the developer's fault, but this was published by THQ Nordic, who are known for relatively high quality looking games. I'm surprised they didn't push money into this game to get it to look as good as it could have. The other surprising thing is just how taxing it seems on my Xbox. I kept failing at this one stage, which wasn't really getting me annoyed or anything, but I found that having a large number of enemy units made the system chug real hard during their turn. My turn wasn't so bad, but it lagged from time to time, and even hung on a frame for a while. I thought my Xbox froze, to be honest. But then, I was getting the hang of the stage, had about half the enemies taken down, and it crashed. Like, actually turned my Xbox off. If it were just that I was rushing into a stage, it wouldn't be so bad, but I found that some missions were artificially difficult because you had to go about them in a certain way. It didn't really leave you with much room to experiment. Sneaking is incredibly needed in most of these difficult missions, and Ivan isn't very sneaky. I just feel like the developers wanted you to play this game in a specific way, though they provided you with multiple ways to play it. In the end, Jagged Alliance Rage was a similar experience to Romance of the Three Kingdoms 14 for me. Starting out, I felt like I wouldn't really enjoy this game, but that slowly turned around. The micromanaging you do to help keep the characters alive and well is actually incredibly fun. The combat mechanics are simple on the surface with complexities underneath. Though the game doesn't look the greatest, it doesn't look that bad either, and you'll stop caring about the JPEG menus after a while. Overall, I have to give Jagged Alliance Rage a meh. I started enjoying the game in the first few missions after learning the mechanics, but after a while, I felt like the game was working against me. That being said, it's not impossible to win. It just feels like you're given many tools to complete your tasks, but only a select few will actually work. If you like games like XCOM, you might like this game. It's strategic, satisfying at times, and has some decent moments. If you find it for a deal, I say check it out. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe for more. Let me know in the comments what your favorite tactics style game is. If you'd like to help support the channel and get your name at the end of every single video, you can join the Guild via Patreon like these awesome people that you're seeing on screen right now. You can become a member for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again, everyone, and I will see you all down in the comments.